Oracles of Olympus. Welcome to Oracles of Olympus, the podcast of all things in miniature wargaming, role-playing, board games, and general nerd culture, all with a taste of cynicism, sarcasm, and nerdy banter. Please join Kyle, Ryan, CJ, and GM Drew as we break down all the stuff. Hi everybody, welcome to episode, where are we at?
Eight. The OCHO.
The OCHO! It is episode 8, the OCHO. The episode I've been waiting for this entire time. I think it'll be our best episode. It'll be 8 times as powerful as any other episode.
Good morning, future listeners. This is CJ. Hello in the future.
CJ in the past.
It's the present.
CJ's coming to you from the past.
Yes, we are past.
Can you make my voice really tinny when I'm saying that?
I don't have to.
Hi everyone, I'm Kyle and I love you.
Hey everybody, this is GM Drew.
And I'm Ryan. Big Manatee.
Big
Manatee now?
Yeah.
Big
thank you,
Manatee.
hard ass.
BM.
There could be only one Rylander.
Yes. I laughed pretty hard at that comment. I liked it. I saw it the other night.
That's my favorite comment right now.
Yeah.
So I think we have some shout-outs, GM Drew.
Sure, and we're just talking about Ryan Harden chimed in on our YouTube post of last week that, well, if you don't know the
If you haven't heard
inside
last
joke,
week, go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's,
I was confused for a second.
Turns out Ryan is a manatee.
right?
The first step to moving on is accepting he's a manatee. Now we're moving through the stages.
Indeed. So, if you guys want to join in the conversation, a lot of funny stuff happening over on YouTube. We also had a review on iTunes.
Manatee tramp stamp.
Yay, iTunes.
So let's give Brett Staley a big shout out. Thanks so much for the review and the rating.
Brett, I love you and I'm glad you're getting to know CJ better too.
Brett, I'm glad you're there for me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for that review.
Yeah, you gave us a great
That was
review.
We do appreciate
fantastic.
that.
If you guys haven't done that yet, just go out to iTunes and pop in and say hi, and
It helps us a ton.
it helps us get visibility and get more fans, and
Because then it'll start suggesting our
Get more
podcast to
famous.
random people.
Like we really want to go up from like the 5 listeners to like 7.
Yeah, we're shooting for 10 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
2019, maybe we got to
I just realized, does this basically make us Adolf Hitler in the bunker? Like we're broadcasting like we're speaking to thousands, but there's like nobody listening.
There's no
There's
one
like
listening.
5. The people
We're
listening
moving,
are the ones in the
we're
room.
moving around divisions on a map that don't even
Yeah.
exist. They're just theoretical divisions. You're
Like
just
we're basically announcing to the masses, except everyone's like, it just goes nowhere. He's crazy.
right. You know the weird thing I was thinking about the other day, like I didn't even guess that stack 'em high would be like a thing, but like some people are like, I run into people and they're like stack 'em high, and I'm like, yeah, yeah.
I know where that's
Okay,
Right.
so in Laramie, where I went over the other day, one of the people saw me and he was like, "Yeah, man, hashtag stack 'em high."
Hashtag stack 'em high.
Yeah.
It's so good. But here's we have to figure out a way to keep using that
do.
because Road to
We gotta
Adepticon
get-
ends in like 2 weeks.
We need to have like stack 'em high badges. We give her something.
We could probably get like stack 'em high.
You could
pens.
get you could get a shirt made for Adepticon that just says stack 'em
we're already-
high.
We're already
already
having
getting
shirts
shirts
made.
made.
for Adepticon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Maybe we'll chat about that.
We
I'll
need
talk
like
about it in the last
little pins or something we give out that say stack 'em
I'm sure
high.
we could get pins that literally just say
We just need
stack
to at
'em
this
high.
point buy a button maker.
A button maker?
ourselves. Just
You know,
buy one.
honestly, they're not like crazy expensive.
No.
We could do that.
You know how many buttons I made working for politicians?
I imagine a
Thousands of
lot.
buttons.
I imagine a lot, yeah.
Thousands of buttons. Chris Heath, if you're listening to this, buddy, you can come on and help make more buttons when we get this thing. Chris
heard-
Heath was my little button maker.
He's a little button maker.
He's my little button maker.
He was your button boy.
Yeah, he was
How's
very,
the
very
button
good
boy?
for the
I like
cause.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you are such a good hard worker for
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah, Chris, we're helping the fatherland.
Yeah, I've been making all the buttons.
Okay, well, what do we have on our schedule, Jim?
So we don't have a whole lot of product news to talk about this
It's kind of slow with product right now.
But I guess Daughters of Khaine. There's another something that come out.
Well, before Kyle goes off on this,
I'll lose my shit.
We have
about this.
We'll wait till we get to you then to talk about it in minis. We have next week coming out. We have their what are the actual names of them, Kyle? There's the Harpy ladies and the Snake ladies.
Melusai and the Kinerai.
Okay.
And
they look friggin'
the Harpies
awesome.
and the Naga ladies. And
check them out. They're amazing.
I want them inside of my veins.
That's intense.
Yeah.
He's gonna melt him down and mainline him.
Mainline that shit right in my eyes.
Can we talk about who was it yesterday that was telling us they tried to build models by melting them together? Was that you?
No, yeah. So that was a good anecdote.
What?
So CJ was okay. So as oftentimes happens with plastic glue, like a little bit of plastic glue will dry in the spout. It's a metal spout. The trick to fixing that is you pull the spout out, you hold a lighter at one end, and you run it up the spout until all the glue burns out. Well, it just so happened that I was watching CJ do this, and it reminded me of a really fun anecdote. So about 7 years ago, when I first started working in hobby gaming, I had a customer who will leave their name out to protect the innocent, come in and be like, "Yeah, I was." It was like right after a holiday because we had been closed or something like that. He was like, "Yeah, I was building all my stuff, but I ran out of glue, and you guys were closed, so I just used a lighter and melted my models together." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "No way, no way!" And he pulls out the most depressing looking Space Marines you've ever seen. It was just like these globbed arms, shitty melted shoulder pads. Just looking at these poor Space Marines, they're like, "Kill me! Kill me!" I felt bad because the Space Marines had become mutants, which they would really hate.
My God. Does this guy not know Walmart sells super glue?
If you're ever in a pinch, guys, you can go to Wally World and buy yourself a tube of Loctite. It's not my favorite glue, but it does work.
Or Gorilla super glue works just fine.
They'll all do.
Hobby Lobby has plastic glue if we're closed.
For all those other country listeners, I grew up in a small town that didn't have a game store. And so, I had to make do with hardware store glue when I built my thing. And so every once in a while you get a guardsman who, I had an accident, and there's just a waterfall down his side of glue. Looks like he just got shot by a goo gun.
I actually, true story, when I was originally trying to start Warhammer and my parents were not having it, I went to the store.
They didn't want you to become a plastic crack addict.
It was evil.
It was the devil.
Yeah, it was the devil, but that's okay. But anyway, so we went to the hardware store, and my dad's like, "Fine, as long as you just build the models." And I was like, "Cool, I'll build models," because when he was a kid, he built models and he wanted to do something. He wanted me to do that, so he bought me the Gorilla foaming wood glue stuff, and he was like, "This will work perfect." And me, I was 12 years old, so I'm trying to build a metal Tyranid, and I was like, "It's a Hive Tyrant," and I put it, and I put the glue on him.
12-year-old Big Swole,
dude.
It's a Hive Tyrant.
I just
it is a Hive Tyrant.
The exact size you are now, just shrunk.
Just Hive Tyrant.
He's still built like a barrel. It's just a 12-year-old barrel.
And then I was actually really, really, really skinny, and so I put the glue on there, and I put the Hive Tyrant on top, and I'm holding it, and all of a sudden it's foaming out the sides, and it's pushing the model apart, and I was like, "No!" And it looked like an abomination, and that's when I quit. I was just like, "No!" So I was successfully sabotaged. It was good.
So
started out a little rough, but got there.
We don't really have anything else coming out next week that's terribly exciting, do we? The Daughters of Khaine models.
There's not any new releases I can think of next week that are on the horizon right now.
No.
Nothing.
All right.
Nothing
Well,
big.
what's next on our agenda?
So did you want to talk
Mini
about
wargaming?
this?
You want to talk about
Do I
Daughters?
want to talk about Daughters of Khaine?
Yeah.
Do we got 4 hours? I read this whole book the first night I got it. Okay, so Daughters of Khaine.
I haven't seen him this pumped.
Daughters of Khaine on the
I don't know
OCHO.
when.
So it's the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar army. They are evil witch elves, or elves, as it were now.
Elves.
Elves. It is possibly one of the most exciting books that I've read in a while for an army, and I'll tell you why, because it actually goes into a lot of the background to Age of Sigmar and what's actually happened, and it answers a lot of questions like, what the hell happened to Slaanesh? This book tells you what happened to Slaanesh. Spoiler alert, They've got him like chained
was
up in a
hog-tied,
garage. Yeah,
basically.
right. Which I think secretly he loves.
Yeah.
But
He's like,
Like
no,
a ball
don't,
gag in too.
yeah, right.
no, don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And they're basically forcing Slaanesh to throw up elf souls, which is super metal. I
That
love
is
it.
awesome.
Yeah, they're just basically like, okay, keep sticking your finger down his throat. We
They
need
just have
more
a tongue
elves.
depressor and they just
Yeah, like elves nailed it. Which props for Games Workshop for like the awesome bit of like torture porn they put into this book. It's pretty fantastic. There's a lot of murder in here. It's pretty great. Overall,
those repressed British sexual desires.
there's a lot of repressed British sexual desires. Curtis, I know you're listening, and I imagine that's a thing. So
Is this?
Can you
comment how real this is?
yeah, let us know,
Do all British people want to like tie people up and make them vomit?
and then sex them in the garage.
What the heck?
I know that's my thing. But I'm not British.
Yeah, it turns out you might have a British streak in you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Daughters of Khaine goes overall, of course, the new background for Marathi and why she is the way she is, and it's pretty fantastic. I won't spoil all the fluff parts for you guys. Let you go through and read that yourselves. But what I do want to talk about are all the rules because they're crazy. They're crazy good, right? So your base battle lines in this book are Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter. They come in groups of 10 for 100 points and 120 respectively. And they're pretty fantastic. Basically, I think you're going to take Witch Elves most of the time because they're a little bit cheaper and they're basically the same. But you're going to give your Witch Elves more likely like a pair of daggers. So these gals got 3 attacks apiece. They have a 6-inch move. And as a special ability, they can always run and charge, which is awesome. The thing that makes that cooler is there's a allegiance ability called Blood Rights. And Blood Rights are on this basically list that you get every single turn, and they all stack. So, like, first turn, you get to reroll rolls of 1 for the unit. Second turn, you can reroll dice rolls of 1 when making charge rolls. Third turn, you can reroll hit rolls of 1. In addition, if it's like an Avatar of Khaine, because he's actually a dude you can take now, the Avatar always counts as being animated, which basically just makes these more kick-ass. Then on turn 4 you get reroll 1s to wound, and on turn 5 you can reroll save rolls of 1, and you don't have to take battle shock. And the cool thing is they're all cumulative, so they all stack. So like the longer you play against Daughters of Khaine, the more kick-ass their bonuses get.
That's really cool.
I think it's
So
partially
they
it's
don't want
going
to be tabled early, is what you're saying.
they don't want to be tabled early, and I think part of the Blood Rights is to kind of make up for the fact that they
They're gonna
are
take
really
casualties.
squishy. Basically, you're looking at like 5-up saves in your best case scenario. Again, most of your models are on 6-up saves, but they also have a little ability to help make up for that called Fanatical Faith. And Fanatical Faith says, roll a die each time a wound or mortal wound is allocated to a friendly Daughter of Khaine model. On a 6+, the wound is negated. So they kind of have a save after the save. So you're already stopping like, it's like 16% more of your guys are not dying. And there are ways to buff that. There are something like 6 different Khainite shrines you can play, and the very first one, which is the biggest one, called Hagnar. The Hagnar...
It's an old reference to good old the old Druki in fantasy, because
Yeah.
what was it?
it was Harganeth.
Hargneth was the
Yeah,
city.
Hargneth was the city of executioners,
Yeah.
and that's actually, funny enough, there's actually another temple called Drake Ganeth, and Drake Ganeth is
Sure enough, might have
basically
some
the
executioners in it.
executioners. Yeah. But the Hagnar sisters, they're all going to get +1 to that roll, so they're basically ignoring wounds on a 5-up, which is pretty sweet.
That's a big deal.
I think they're possibly my favorite. It's either those elves or the Drake Ganeth elves. The Drake Ganeth elves just get to add 1 to hit rolls anytime they charge, which is super awesome because you're gonna see lots of like hordes basically of witch elves just shredding things. Tons of attacks, lots of really cool stuff. There are some fantastic prayers that your priestesses can get, and they're really cool. Like they did a good job of splitting the prayers and the magic that you have access to between buffs and essentially offensive powers. Like there's a lot of like, up your damage or make your witches harder to wound. A lot of really cool stuff like that.
What do you think of the standout units?
The standout units. Okay, right. So right now, my favorite unit in the book, like if you're looking for something to take, honestly, is just Witch Elves.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. They're your battle line, and they're really cheap. Right behind the Witch Elves, though, have to be the Melusai, which are the Snake Ladies, in either of their two forms. They have the Blood Stalkers, and then they also have the melee form, the Blood Sisters. Both of them, I think, are really, really good. They're 2 wounds apiece, and they've got some pretty gross melee abilities. So your Blood Sisters, which are your melee Snake Ladies, they've got 3 attacks, hitting on a 3, wounding on a 3, rend -1, 1 damage. Pretty sweet. But they also have a really cool ability that each one of them gets to do in close combat called the Crystal Touch, which is a single attack that hits on a 4, but if it hits, the target just suffers a mortal wound. So they're basically literally turning people into crystalline statues. So it's kind of like a Medusa sort of thing. I really like them. I think they're really good. They're kind of supposed to be like a more heavily armored bodyguard for the shrine's leaders, and they're also spies for Marathi, which is really cool. They also have an 8-inch move, which I think is pretty solid. The Blood Stalkers, which are their bow-armed cousins, they're 24-inch range bow, only 1 shot, which is kind of my only letdown there, but it hits on a 3, wounds on a 3, rend -1, 1 damage. If you roll a 6 to hit, though, the target just suffers a mortal wound instead of the normal damage. So you're just kind of trying to spike 6s with these gals. They're still okay in combat, but definitely a little bit more shooting oriented.
Did you see there's another unit in there? They have wings. They descend down.
Yes,
so they can deep strike.
That's the Harpy Ladies.
Yeah, the Harpy Ladies. They also get basically an assault move. So you get to back them out, and they have 2 shots with their bow.
They do have 1 shot with their javelins, but the only ones that have 2 are the sickles.
Was the sickles?
Yeah. They basically, either you're taking them with javelins, which are their ranged weapon, or you're taking them with sickles for melee.
Okay.
They are really cool. They do have the thing that you were kind of talking about there is called Descend to Battle.
Yeah.
And it's instead of setting them up on the battlefield, you can place them to one side and say it's circling high above. In any of your movement phases, they can descend to the battle, set up anywhere on the table more than 9 inches away from enemy models, and it's counted as their move. But they just so happens that they get a ton of bonuses for doing that.
And then also, don't they get like -2 rend for when they were shooting?
Yeah, so if you're if that's for
that
rule,
turn?
you get -2 to the rend if they descend from the battlefield in the same turn. They also have the ability to, I think, like you were saying, like fire and shoot again, or move and shoot again. Yeah, so it's called fire and flight. In your shooting phase, after the unit's finished making all the attacks, roll a die on a 4-up. It can make a 6-inch normal move as if it were your movement phase, but it cannot retreat or run as part of the move. So I guess they do kind of have like an assault move. I think it's actually so you can get into assaults though.
Okay.
Because they actually get bonus rend when they come down on melee weapons too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, they're really good.
Suffice to say, they're really cool.
Yeah, the whole book seems
Gorgeous
really
models,
good.
good book, good background.
Yeah,
5 stars games worth.
Yeah, absolutely, 5 stars. Like great art, great background, great minis, great rules.
And this book does lead to the confirmation that we are getting CLs.
Yeah, in the very, very back, which I'm sure you guys have seen online, for allies, for the Witch Elves, there is a new name that is not anywhere else in the game right now called the Idoneth Deepkin. And it actually goes into who the Idoneth Deepkin are in this book. So there is a lot more information about them. Not tons, but basically the short of it is that they are an aquatic, maybe elven race made by Teclis. And
so
turns out that he made them not great.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like his first go at making elves, and he was just like, don't
This
like how
didn't
these
work.
came out. And
Yeah.
they were just like, yeah, we don't like you either. And kind of like shunned all the other elves anyway. So no idea what they look
So
like.
it could be
they
like
might be
almost
actual
like
merelves.
Atlanteans, or maybe almost like Aquaman from...
He definitely talks about them kind of like, I hope they're not Aquaman.
I'm hoping for like sweet spandex suits with like yellow A's and
Well,
stuff.
they're elves, so they'll definitely be spandex.
A for elves.
A for elves. It definitely talks about them being kind of like a seafaring aquatic race. So.
Which they did spoil that video with the sunken ship.
Yeah, which
is
wasn't
really cool.
elven. It was like an imperial one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like terrain or what that is.
I don't know what it is.
I'm curious. Cool. Yeah, it does look cool.
All right, what else do we got today, GM Drew?
Let's see. We got some Black Library books in the store.
We do. So
Yes.
here at Olympus Games and Comics, we are now carrying Black Library. Hooray!
Yay!
We're super
It just
excited.
kind of like snuck up on us. Like it was like not even talking to our regular rep. I was talking to our rep's boss.
Yeah.
And he was just like, by the way, have you heard about all the Black Library we're carrying? And I was like, Do tell. You have my attention. Yeah. Like, I love Black Library.
And I think that's the point. So for me in 40K, and to Age of Sigmar to a degree, I'm very driven by the story. That's what's huge to me. I see Ryan nodding.
Oh, yeah. I am too.
If you've never read Black Library novels, guys, I highly recommend checking them out.
Good.
They're like literally some of the best science fiction writers in the world write for Black Library.
They do. And
it's so good.
When you really get into the story for it, if you haven't read it, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't read it, the Black Library stories for the Horus Heresy, for 40K, it's, I think, probably, and I've read a lot of sci-fi over the years, it's probably, I think, one of the best, if not the best, science fiction settings out there. And I think what I really like about it is that a lot of the science fiction settings are, take Star Wars, take Star Trek, just as some of the big ones. Mm-hmm. You have all the humans and aliens and everyone's getting along and a super kumbaya, and yeah, maybe you have wars and stuff. It's realistic
to
in
me,
40K.
This is realistic. Where everything just kind of, humanity's very suspicious about new things.
The whole field is kind of like a humanity first sort
of
policy.
Yeah.
Imperium first.
It is. And the thing is that I like this.
All the other people should put their places first too.
And we're going to build a wall and make Chaos pay for it around the Ayatar.
It's actually the orcs, but
it's actually the orcs.
Yeah,
it could be.
We'll make the orcs pay for it.
In essence, the Emperor does not like humans. Don't like alien races, right? They're naturally suspicious of them. And so,
just look what's going on. Like,
they want to conquer them. They want to destroy them. And
don't worry. I was just going to say, look what goes on all the time, where everyone's naturally suspicious of each other.
I think it's realistic. Good or bad, whatever you want to view as judgment.
Yeah.
It is realistic of, I think, how humanity be in the future.
Where we're like, this is a new race. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. They want to kill us.
Got space cash. Space oil.
Space oil.
Strip mine the space oil, guys.
So it's a realistic setting in my mind.
# strip mine the space oil.
Oh. And it gets into
stack 'em high
darker
for the space oil.
Stack 'em high.
Like, #stack 'em high. Like, take for example in Star Trek. There's no money in Star Trek.
That's not true. There is gold press latinum. You're welcome, listeners.
Yeah, that's the Ferengi. Like,
but there is money. They do use
in the Federation. They don't use money anymore, which to me is just insane. Like, the Imperium is all about crushing people to gain resources. And I'm like, there's a splash of realism for y'all right there. Okay. Anyway, I'll move on about how realistic the world is in my mind, and talk about a series I just finished. It's the Airman series. I actually have the 3 books now. They're in an omnibus that you can get that we
got here in store.
which we have in store.
Shameless plug.
Yep,
I'm super excited.
The Airman storyline. I don't think it got a lot of attention when it came out.
Who wrote that? Is that Aronofsky Bowden?
I think it's John French.
John French.
But it didn't get a ton of attention when it first came out. But I just finished reading all 3 of them. And they are awesome. Essentially the storyline, for those of you who, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but in essence, the storyline is, for those of you that know the Thousand Sons, Ahriman gets exiled after the Rubric of Ahriman, which creates the Rubric Marines in the Thousand Sons. And the book series starts with him basically as an exile, working with, nobody knows who he is. He's almost basically working for kind of like pirate Chaos Marines, like they're just marauders. And none of them realize this legendary, amazing sorcerer is essentially working under a fake name for him. And that's where you start in the first book, and it's how he kind of realizes who he is and comes back to being a Thousand Son. And then
that's how Airman finds himself.
He finds himself in that book.
It's like a heartwarming,
it is heartwarming, but with a lot of murder in there.
It's a tale of growth and adventure and murder.
It's like one of those teenage angst movies, kind of like Stand By Me, where like they kind of find themselves.
Oh my
it's
God.
the Stand By Me
Airman Kevin Bacon. Yeah. # is Airman Kevin Bacon. Make it happen.
To be fair, we haven't seen him without his helmet off. So
I think he's Kevin Bacon.
Could be.
You just see him casting spells. He's like, footloose.
Right? He's like, does a little dance after he kills everyone on the world, you know?
Magnus is like, no dancing.
Right? Magnus is, oh my God! Magnus is totally the sheriff in that one town.
Yep.
Like, there'll be no dancing here. And he's just like, I can't not dance, father.
Why he's exiled.
Yeah, so he's an exile.
It wasn't the Rubric at all, it's the dance.
Yes!
Airman is Kevin Bacon.
# stack him high.
Here, do you want to share the one part you were telling me about, where Airman has that like little secret weapon, where Well, I don't want to get too into it if it's pretty big into the story.
One?
Where like
There's so many little secrets. What? Oh yeah, where he buries the Marines?
No, I was talking about the dude where he's just like, hit it, Bruce, and Bruce is like, just walks up and starts talking like all these demon names, and they're just like, boop, 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 boop,
Oh, okay.
and they
Well,
just
there's
start
two fun
popping up.
moments. Both.
Sure.
So I have been sharing the series as I've been reading it for the last couple months because I read really slowly. And one of the great
Carbon County School District.
yes, Drew knows what I'm talking about.
Carbon County
So
School District
good old
#1.
to all our Rollins folks out there.
Sorry.
If you're from Rollins, come on in and say hi. We'll get you on the podcast. So
We really do need to schedule some guests.
We do. That would be cool.
really bad.
I think the first person should be the Paramount.
what?
We were talking about the person who owns the Paramount because you love their coffee. That was in like episode 3.
I don't know what that has to do with a gaming podcast.
I don't know, but you invited them.
Sometimes
We
I
invite a
invite
lot of
people
people.
in
I know.
parody, Ryan.
I
I
just
don't know if
want
you
to
got
also
that.
say, and I feel like we've been a little bit remiss in our duties here, but goddamn, is Jim Weaver a good businessman?
Yes,
I
he
see
is.
his stuff all over. I was driving by his offices the other day.
His
and I was
brand
like,
is strong.
"Look at Jim Weaver, man, that guy, he's got it together.
everywhere.
Jim,
Everywhere.
Jim, if you want to come on to the podcast,
We would love to have you on.
I think you're fantastic. You're,
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you're a local hero.
Yes,
His
tell us
brand
your
is
secrets.
strong.
It is. Yeah, it is.
There's no one in Cheyenne that comes close to you. Anyway, back to Araman. Since we keep getting sidetracked, two great moments in the book.
Story of this
is
podcast.
Araman decides to conquer this world where the Inquisition is, so he goes back in time and he buries his Rubric Marines.
Like you do.
And so then when he attacks it, he summons them and they start crawling their way out of the ground 1,000 years later and just start killing everybody. That's a great moment.
That's cool.
There's also another great moment that Ryan particularly liked where he has this
Hit it,
one.
Steve.
Yeah, he has one of his sorcerers who's memorized all of these demon names, but because if you know the full demon's name, it'll destroy your mind. He somehow compartmentalized his mind and puts part of the name, different syllables in each compartment. And then when on Araman's command, he just starts releasing demon names, and demons start popping out of the warp and killing people. It's really fun.
But you're telling me
So-
about how basically his head's imploding and he's
Yes.
just like, demon, 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 like it's just going nuts.
If you like Thousand Suns, if you generally like Chaos Space Marines, and if you like the Inquisition is heavily featured in this because Araman, they're his old nemesis. They're always like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Araman,
That
we're going to get
rascally
you."
Araman.
And so the books are great. I highly recommend them. If you like bad guys, I like reading
Because
about bad
Claw
guys more than
runs the
good guys.
Inquisition.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's fair.
Well, that was me trying to do a review,
Yeah.
but it got sidetracked by my compatriots.
I mean, that's very unlike us.
I know
No,
that never
we've
happens.
never
We
done
don't
that.
do that. That's not our style.
If you want to learn more about Araman, come talk to me in person.
I'm excited about the Night Lords book.
The Night
I've
Lords
heard
Omnibus,
it's fantastic.
It's one of the best out. Period. It's written by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. Just fantastic.
And I think Aaron Dembski-Bowden is...
He's probably their
he's
best
in my,
author.
yeah, he's at least in my top 3. I really do like him.
Graham McNeil,
Dan Abnett.
Dan Abnett is great.
Yeah, Dan Abnett's... I really like
I
his
think
stuff.
Chris Wright is one of their best sleeper authors. He's a
Yeah.
great author, but he doesn't get a lot of attention.
That's fair.
Frankly, all their authors are good. There's
Yeah, they
only
don't-
been
there's
like
not
2 or
like-
3 I've read where I'm like,
Honestly, even the books where I was less excited, it's not like any of the authors were not exciting or not good writers. It was more like the
Like the story or the
like,
content
I
was
don't,
not
yeah,
as
like there would be
exciting.
like certain groups in the fluff that I just don't care as much about.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn about a good book to read, come in and ask us. We'd be happy to make some
Yeah, most
recommendations.
of our staff has read at least one Black Library novel. We can
And the Horus Heresy
essentially everything we're
series-
carrying is essentially like the bestseller.
It is.
Yeah.
Horus Heresy series is a classic. I mean,
It's
most
so
of the
good.
ones in there.
I'm on the second book, and I just got to a fantastic part.
Did you?
Also, we have the new Dark Imperium novel, which is the one that came out with 8th edition. I've been reading that. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Like, if you want to know what's actually going on right now in 40K in the current fluff, you should definitely pick up Dark Imperium, give it a read. It is basically Gilliman just kind of walking around and being salty about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And, like, all of the
Murdering
Primaris
chaos along
Marines
the way.
kind of being a bit emo about shit. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, man, I wish everybody liked us. Like, people are super mean to us because we're new. But it's really good. It's
They
really
don't
fun book.
understand us. It's not a phase.
Right? It's not a faith.
Who we are. All right, what else do we
Not my
have?
fault. I
Mr.
look
Drew?
better in my sister's jeans than she does.
So we did want to talk a little bit about a little bit of a game that's coming out in a few weeks.
You might have heard of it.
A little Star Wars game called Legion.
Yeah, it's kind of a BFD.
Never heard of it. You know.
What's a Star Wars?
It's a Star Wars miniatures-based combat game, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you like Star Wars?
I love Star
Have you heard of Star Wars?
No, what's a Star Wars?
So this we're gonna have a big launch weekend here at the shop.
The
with,
GM Drew will be running. We
GM
planned this
Drew
out before he got here,
will be
Kyle.
running.
A whole
We
launch
talked about
party.
this earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more details on that.
Yeah, we'll have stuff coming.
Ironing through all this stuff. But
Logistics.
it's gonna be a fun, full Star
So,
Wars.
We'll have stormtroopers here.
We had
Indeed.
some comments. Actually, before the podcast started, Drew and I were talking about some of the things we think of Legion. And I think one of the interesting things is I saw an interview that was done with the creators of the game. And what stood out to me is that they said this is what they wanted to do with the Star Wars license from the very beginning. This was something that they originally wanted to do.
Which is not shocking to me.
No, and they
it
said
feels like
for-
such an easy thing to go after.
It is. For reasons they couldn't disclose, they could not do it. I think we know what those reasons are.
Yeah, maybe. There might be a 2-letter reason.
Yep. And so they did X-Wing and they did Armada, but they said X-Wing and Armada were always intended to help come up with ideas and test concepts for what would eventually be this game. So this game has been in development for years.
Which is interesting too, because almost everything I feel like almost everything they've done for a while is based kind of on the X-Wing system, which is really successful.
It is super successful.
Yeah, they caught the lightning in the bottle on the first.
Yeah, they really did. They were just like, "Oh, nailed it. Let's just make everything like this," and it's worked really well. Because the way the X-Wing is put together, it's really good.
And so they, something that they mentioned also in the interview that I think is really telling of what so one, this is going to become their main production game. This is going to be their number one star. It's getting the resources. They plan it to be long term. They've already got releases planned for the next several years. They said the releases will be much more frequent than X-Wing. And their plan
That's
is to...
good, because I think you have to.
I think you have to.
X-Wing, what is it?
Like
four
every-
times
there's
a
like
year?
2 or 3
we get I think we get
3 or 4?
No, I think we get 2 or 3.
2 or 3 a
Okay.
year. It's kind of slow.
It's way slower than I think we'd like to be, but a big part of that is because of the quality they put into X-Wing. The X-Wing ships all look
Fantastic.
pretty fantastic.
They're sturdy,
They're really well
great
done.
looking
And because
models.
I've been to trade shows and literally every time there's an FFG panel, that's the question that gets asked first every time they open up. They're like, "Why is X-Wing so slow? I want more ships." And they're like, "Well, it takes a long time to paint
Versus-
a million models."
Versus whiz kids who put out a tack wig and they're like, spray it mint green silver.
Yeah, right.
Put that baby out.
WizKids is wave 35 in
Yeah.
the first year, and X-Men is still on wave 12.
And
They've been
it's
doing
like,
it for 5 years.
I think for Star Trek, they're looking for new ships and crap, what do we already have sculpted as part of a board game? Let's make
that was a big. I think that was a big part of the problem with Attack on this quality.
It was.
because it was literally they're like,
There
"Oh
was
shit,
no
just take those
scale.
old hero clicks we have." Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no scale.
It
The
was
quality.
just
I mean, WizKids is
Rubbery
definitely
plastic.
in almost everything. WizKids is always quantity over quality. I will say the exception to that is the D&D pre-painted miniatures.
They're
I think
very
they're
nice.
really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are very nice. But I mean,
anyway.
you saw on the Attack when you know you have problems when you are re-releasing a ship and you're like, this is the quality one.
Yeah, right.
Repainted nice. So, come buy it because it doesn't look like ass.
So the more I'm hearing this article you
Yes.
read about it and the hype that I'm reading and watching on,
They want this to be a mainline miniatures game in America that
it's
competes
starting
with
to
every other
suck me
game.
in a bit.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool.
I mean, they didn't say this, but one of the questions that the interviewer asked him was, are you going to add other factions and armies relatively
think you
quickly?
have to.
Well, and he said they didn't say yes or no, they just smiled. And so he said, yeah, there's other factions coming. I
mean,
this is just starting it off. I mean, they literally have 3 years of scheduled releases.
right. I mean, it's the classic Rebels versus Imperials, but you have to have more factions.
You do.
There's you cannot tell the scope of Star Wars with just those two groups.
You need,
there's
in
so
my
many-
mind,
There's
you
so
need 4
many
to
other
6
races
factions
in
minimum.
Star Wars.
Right.
I mean,
And I think that's something War Machine saw, right? War Machine was successful off of just 4 factions for a while, but they eventually expanded. I think if we could get Star Wars to 4 factions with relatively quickly,
So
we'd do
yeah,
better.
I mean, I remember reading. This is years ago. I remember reading there were so many miniature games starting, and the considered threshold to success is 4 factions because it gives people enough to be interested in and enough variation.
Yeah.
So I really hope that they get. I honestly hope they get to more than 4 factions. I
do too.
think variety is always the best thing you can get because it lets people have a lot of kind of different play styles and different collections and stuff.
But it does create, as Drew and I were talking about, a new dynamic because for us in our environment, Warhammer 40K is king.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't think it'll be usurped. But I think as it gains steam, I could see Star Wars starting to take a portion of the market share just because it is Star Wars.
I think it will because of the name.
Yeah.
But I think the weird thing, though, is when you see that starting to happen, I think you'll see things like X-Wing starting to roll back. Though.
I do, too.
Because it's essentially appealing to the same core audience. Like, the game is going to appeal to, like,
I don't think it's going to
Star
steal a lot
Wars
of 40K players, but I think it'll steal a lot of maybe new players coming in that are
I think it'll grab new
I
people.
do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think it's a little more casually accessible.
It is. And
people know the story.
Here's the thing about
People know
Warhammer.
Star Wars.
They know the Star Wars. When I am talking about Warhammer, I have to give them the background of what the story even is. Great story, but you have to explain it. And also with Warhammer, I think it's one of its best features, but also at the same time a detriment for new players, is that you look at these models and you're like, one, I've got to cut them out. I got to glue them together. I have to paint them. And then Lord knows what weapons to put on. If you're brand new, you have no idea. That's one of our main questions for new players is what do I put on my guys? Star Wars, it's like, I open it, they're already pre-cut out. I glue the guy's arms on, he's got a blaster. So it's easier to get on the battlefield and play quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's less assembly for sure. You still got to paint them, but
You still
it's
gotta paint
not.
them.
I mean, as with any miniatures game, you don't have to paint them, but just it's much better if you do.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that.
We are very much looking forward
We'll be
to
talking more about that next week.
I'm looking forward to seeing what other vehicles they do. Like, I love that there's an ATST. I think it's great. But I'm less excited about the Snowspeeder. I want to see what other vehicles come out.
I want to see other factions. Like, how awesome would it be to just mow down people as Wookiees?
How awesome would it be to mow down Ewoks? Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, dude, I'm fine.
Not you.
Oh, I know.
The Rylander.
I know. The Rylander.
I think it would also, like, that tank in Rogue One that gets ambushed. How cool is
Yeah,
that?
right. Like, there's a
That's
lot of
super
cool vehicles
graphic.
that I feel like you don't get to see a lot in Star Wars games.
I love the ATST. Don't get me wrong; it's a classic.
It's good.
But I'm ready to see some expansion and other stuff too.
I want to see new stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back right after this.
Yep. We'll be back with the last word, everybody.
Do you need more kick-ass gear for your gaming? Come to Olympus Games and Comics. We've got awesome stuff like Dreadnoughts and Leman Russ battle tanks. Do you need to purge more heretics? Pick up a Dreadnought. Maybe you need to kick some serious ass with Primaris Marines.
Okay, quick episode this week, but we're going to do the last word here real quick, and I'll go first. This week I got all registered for my events at ChupaCapraCon, which is a gaming convention. It's a convention down in Austin in the beginning of May.
You're calling me a liar, cabron.
It's going to be nothing but tacos served.
Oh my god, I love tacos.
I do too.
All the fat kids just got like a gleam in their eye. They're like, "Yay, tacos!"
We should go get those fried tacos today for lunch.
Yes.
Wait, fried tacos?
Yeah, you can come with
God.
us.
So, okay, I'll do this my last word, but go ahead.
Okay,
Finish yours.
so a couple of my friends
chimichanga?
suggested this convention to me because it's a smaller con, but it's also full of like game developers and designers trying their new games and
Trying to really break into a new area, you know?
right where it's not crowded at all.
Or where it's, you know, maybe there's more opportunity.
I don't understand.
Just trying to get in any
Maybe
way they
trying to
can.
drop an anchor there.
I don't understand.
I know you don't, buddy. That's okay.
It's so funny.
That's why you're so pretty.
Anyway, really excited
just sit
about
there
it.
and look
And I think I'm playing
He's a cute little manatee.
some weird indie games, and I got into a Savage Worlds game where we play the Simpsons characters, and
that would be like so bizarre feeling.
I know.
But
Well,
it's such a world everyone knows.
Simpsons versus the Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to just say, Ryan looks like an action figure. He was moving a second ago, and he basically only like pivots at the waist and arms go up and down. Like, there's only very selective.
He's like a really
joint
old
movement.
G.I. Joe.
So
He's a
yeah,
super
well, hold
old
on.
G.I. Joe.
Do you pivot from, you know, the middle of your torso? Like,
Okay, so
you
no, like
pivot from the
I
waist.
can bend. You're like.
I can bend too. Oh no! Oh no!
I don't.
Well, I don't understand what you're.
It's just how you look.
Speaking of action figures, it'll be Saturday, March
Okay.
10th is when the Freedom Squadron Kickstarter goes off. So, which is the Savage Worlds
Freedom Squadron.
G.I. Joe setting that I'm going to be kickstarting.
Dispense freedom to third world
A
countries.
local guy is actually putting that together. He's in Denver. Sean Patrick Fannin. This is his baby. So, if you're wanting to try, what are you? He's got
I have to fidget with things.
Ryan
Leave me
has
alone.
a 1984 Reaction Terminator action figure, which is pretty sweet.
It basically looks
Very
just like
topical
him.
for
Yeah, it's one of the
We
random
need to
things
create
we have
Ryan
around
action
here.
figures. We can
Ryan
sell that
action
for the
figures.
podcast.
If he was a G.I. Joe, his name would be like Slap. I was gonna say it'd be like Barricade, but that's already a G.I. Joe. Or Roadblock, but it's already a G.I.
I
Joe.
want to be Slab Bulkhead.
Yeah, Slap Bulkhead.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Or Dirk Grizzle Teeth.
Dirk Grizzle Teeth.
Basically,
Those are names from a
Your action figure
Mystery Science Theater 2.
kit just comes with little food for an 8,000 calorie diet.
Listen, just because I have to eat more
That
now.
could be your last word about how you were not eating enough.
Okay,
It's
that'll be my last word.
I think it could come with that, or he just like flips random things over. Like you hit the button, he just flips for
with kung fu flipping
It's
action.
got nerd rage action.
nerd rate action. It's like Ryan just rolled
It just does
5-1
this.
saves on his death guard.
It's like the third time you've had to tell him to re-roll for Arch Contaminator. Then
Yep.
he gets like nerd ragey, like. "Rah!"
My favorite moment is where he's like, "I'm not terse," and you're squeezing a hill to the point where it looks like it's gonna explode.
White knuckled.
Yep. All right. What's your last word, Kyle? Tacos.
My last word is about tacos today. So I took Jenna to that place on Friday.
Did she like
so
it?
Yeah, right? Like,
Yeah.
how could you not? So there is a really great Mexican food restaurant here in Cheyenne that, as far as I know, just opened up. But here's the catch, and it sounds really extra sketchy. It's in a gas station.
Oh,
And I know that
Del
sounds
Range?
sketchy.
Yeah, it's on Del Range, and
Okay.
it's in like the gas station that used to be like a barbecue place.
Right on Del Range. Yeah.
And
It's called like Mi Tortilla or
yeah,
My Tortilla.
sure.
Yeah.
My God, is it good?
The fried tacos.
Really?
And the carne asada, it's so good.
Okay.
I love Mexican food.
They've really good
I do
carne
too.
asada.
So good.
It's
Oh my
criminally
God.
good. It's amazing.
Like ridiculously delicious. I feel sketchy every time I go in there because it's a gas station, but oh my God, is it good?
Like you have to buy
I'm
your
waiting for
drinks
it to-
from the gas station.
Right, yeah, you
but
literally
it's
have to,
worth
if you
it.
want a soda with your meal, you got to buy it from the gas station.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely unique.
Because competition.
But oh my God, oh, it's so good.
I like it.
Ryan, what's your last word?
So apparently I was voted on what my last
You can
word
do
was
your
gonna be.
own
No. I will
You do
conform to
you.
the group. Apparently, it
Peer
turns out
pressure.
I may need to eat more.
For those of you who don't
News
know him,
alert.
that is shocking.
We're
Like,
already
because
on
he already
6,000
eats
calories
a
day.
shit ton.
I mean, I don't just. I
We're
just
bumping
don't
up
eat.
to 8,000 or 10,000 calories a day.
Probably like 7.
Yeah, just 7.
Yeah, because I'm
Like
at
when
like
you
6.
run into
You
Ryan
don't want to
and
go the full
he's
8.
No, I don't want to do
It's-
the OCHO yet.
You should. It's in celebration of episode 8,
It
the
is.
OCHO.
But
when you run into Ryan, like this frequently happens to me, where I'm talking to him and he's eating, and I'm like, "Oh, just starting breakfast." He's like, "No, I had 2 burritos already this morning." I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap!"
well, I mean, it's not. I'm not just eating garbage, but I eat a lot, and they.
We don't call it garbage, Brian. We call it vittles.
Sorry, I don't just eat vittles, but I eat a lot. Like I eat roughly every 2.5 hours. Now I need to up it to like 2, maybe hour and a half.
Holy
And because last night my blood sugar just crashed, and I was sitting at home, and someone had to help feed me apples because like I was so jittery I couldn't grip things. I'm not joking. Like I had a splitting headache. I
And
was
usually
pale.
he grips food with like a death grip.
Yeah, like God forbid I eat a burrito because that thing's gonna come out like a tube of toothpaste. It's just like this is my burrito.
So the moral of the story is you have to eat more.
Yeah, I have to eat more.
it's so
Moral of the
good.
story. Last word.
So my last word is going to be: I played a tournament this last weekend, the Blind Date Doubles, and I played actually Ryan's Death Guard. Thank you, Ryan, for letting me use them.
You're welcome. How'd you like them?
Holy crap, are they awesome? They're fun. They're good. I won all 3 games. One of them at Kyle's expense.
Poop Soup Tummy Dude's a hero.
Poop Soup Tummy Dude, but other people would call
Foul
him Foul
Blightspawn.
Blightspawn.
I like to call him Poop Soup Tummy Guy.
He's just insanely good. Yesterday, I played a game with him last night, and he walked up to a Space Marine repulsor and was just like, "Dead, 15 wounds."
Yeah.
It's just so. Anyway, before I get all like kid in a candy shop talking about how cool Death Guard are, that's my last word. if you like chaos, if you like bad guys, if you like Space Marines that don't just play like every other Space Marine group where like we do a little shooting.
Then you should play Thousand Sons. Oh, hijacked it.
You did.
Sorry.
Don't do it, people. I've been playing Thousand Sons for the last 6 months. It's not worth it.
They're real bad.
They're real bad. Oh God, why am I still playing them? The Death Guard is actually really good and
really
fun
good.
and entertaining, and they have great models.
They do
That's
have
my
great
last
models.
word.
Onto the road.
Yeah.
The road to Adepticon.
Road to Adepticon. You got to do it. Oh, that's right. You
I
recorded.
don't. It's recorded.
So this is
don't
really.
do it every time.
time
This is
we've had
like
to tell you that's
super-
recorded.
We'll
I
be
like the
right
voice.
back with the,
The
road to
road
Adepticon.
to Adepticon.
The Road to Adepticon, brought to you by Charleston Chew, Snacky S'mores, and War Bonds. Buy more War Bonds to keep our boys flying. Also brought to you by the M1 Grand. Stack 'em high, boys. Stack 'em high. Join us on our journey to discovery and army building for Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar.
The Road to Adepticon.
Road
Welcome
to
back, everybody.
Adepticon.
To all our future listeners, this is going to be really fun.
We only have like 2 more of these left.
We do.
Yeah. So
Then starts the Road
here's
to Omaha and ChupacabraCon.
Yes.
the road to Bug Eater. It's more like the
It's like
the
that.
jaunt to.
It's
Bug
like
Eater.
that family trip to Kansas you don't really want to go on, but they guilted you to go on.
God damn it! Next
Yeah.
month I gotta do that.
It's like,
gross.
oh man.
Next month I go on a family trip too, but it's to Florida, so it's not so.
Oh, suck it.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool.
You're going
My
You're
family
going to
trips are always to
America's Waiting
Wichita.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So a quick update on where we are. Full on panic mode.
Yes,
is
it
what I
is-
would
it
use to
is.
describe things. So we're doing pretty well with our 40K stuff. Actually, like we're making some good progress on painting. We've played the lists for the most part.
Ace is tearing through painting our scenery board. He's
Yeah,
doing a good
he's
job.
crushing it right now. It looks really cool.
The mythical unicorn that is Ace.
mythical
One day
unicorn.
you people might hear from him. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Who knows?
don't know.
I don't know.
Something
like
about the
he's-
mystery goes away when you hear from him.
Yeah, right. Like
We're
it's
just
like
like-
if he were ever to get
Caught on footage.
caught on footage, like Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Ace, where we keep calling him like this Grecian god, and then he comes on. He's like, "Hey guys,"
Guys.
like he doesn't come on. You hear like thunderclaps. He's like, "Hi," like I'm Ace.
And we've decided that his real name is not even Dylan Grant, which actually is his real name. He's like Prince now. He just is Ace.
Yeah, right.
He's the Ace.
You just have the one name.
Yeah.
Like
who are you? He's
Cher
Ace.
or Prince.
Prince.
What about the tabletop gamer formerly known as Dylan?
Yeah,
that's,
that could be.
that's like really long to say though.
It is.
Yes.
So where are we at with Age of Sigmar?
So we've changed armies since you last heard from us, like 4
Probably
or 5
like 20
times.
times?
Yeah, probably more than. Like
I think
that.
we were at a point where I was just like, CJ, just tell me what we want to play.
And I told Kyle, like, I'm here to make you happy because relationships are about making the other one happy.
But you're not here to make me happy. You don't.
I did. I relented.
You don't do the dishes.
That's true.
You never, ever take out the trash.
I didn't stop at Old Navy last time.
You didn't stop at Old Navy.
Inside joke for my friends that knew my ex-wife. Let's see. So we have kind of settled, though. Not with each other. I mean with the armies.
Well, we've definitely settled with the armies. So what we're taking now is a
Sylvaneth, which is done.
it's a
Sylvaneth.
team composition that I've affectionately named Two Gods, One Cup.
Yes.
2 Gods, 1 Cup. We're taking a Sylvaneth army that we already have done with Illyriel,
who's
Goddess
really
of Life.
good.
And then we're taking the brand spanking new Witch Elves of the Daughters of Khaine with Marathi, who is the new god. So we got our 2 Gods, 1 Cup.
Yep.
And it should be not the worst thing we've ever done.
And we
if
have a
can get
cool
it done.
scenery board.
We do have a cool scenery board.
We're going to do a
going,
Khainite
like-
temple in a Sylvaneth forest.
Yeah,
Which should be
it
pretty
should
neat.
be neat. God knows if we finish it.
Yeah. Yeah. And last night I had to come to Jesus at Denny's.
That's where many come to Jesus moments happen.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're strung out on the good old horse.
So I last night after we closed, I'm like, it's 10:30. I'm gonna go to Denny's, and I went by myself with a bunch of codexes. Love how the waitresses look at you when you've stacked up Chaos Demon books and are flipping through them at Denny's at 10:30 on a
I
Saturday.
feel like they don't care. They don't get
care.
paid enough to give a shit.
No, they
for
hear
that.
a lot of weird stuff there, I imagine.
Generally, they get like homeless people in there, so
do.
I'm pretty sure they were happy that some book nerd came in.
Yeah, I
They were
tipped.
like, I don't have to deal with some stinky guy.
And the chicken fried steak there is really good.
Right?
Yeah. CEO of Denny's, if you want to come on, we'll have you on. But you've got a great
Absolutely,
restaurant.
Yeah.
So, in the end, what I decided is I was going to play... I have a singles event I'm playing, the Gentleman's Tournament in Adepticon. And I was going to play Death Guard because, as I already talked about in the last word, they're awesome. But something I discovered yesterday playing a test game, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get all these effing models painted. Like, I looked and I'm like, there's like 40 models here that need to be painted. I'm like, not going to happen. So that was my come to Jesus moment at Denny's, is me figuring out a thousand Sun Army that I'm going to force myself to play again. And I love them, but God, do they suck sometimes.
He says he's going to force himself to play, but he's just going to win the painting award. Like,
Maybe.
That's what he's trying.
Or
But I only have 5 models to pick for what I want to do.
CJ,
That's not bad.
Yeah.
if you want to play Death Guard, I'll loan you my.
I know, but I really want to win the painting award. I'm not saying yours wouldn't. That was not meant as an insult. That was not meant as an insult.
I know it needs some highlights.
Burn.
That was not a burn to you. It's more of the Thousand Suns basically are pure win in a bottle for painting.
We did put a lot of time into them.
They've already won like LVO painting awards, Adepticon painting awards, Genghis Khan, not Tacticon weirdly.
Yeah.
Armies on Parade for Games Workshop. So they do okay.
They do all right, yeah.
They do okay. So anyway, do you have anything else for Road to Adepticon, Kyle?
We're literally about to go work on them right now, and yeah, we have to get some shit done.
Yeah, so when you're listening to
if
this...
you are at all interested in learning how to paint stuff,
please come in.
I will be at the shop probably every day from now until August
Adepticon.
20th-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Come and talk to me. I'll show you how to paint stuff. Like, if you want to watch some
Do you mean
painting, or
March
if you
20th?
wanna- Sorry, yeah, March 20th.
You said
yeah.
August 20th. I'm like,
August 20th.
holy crap, he's going to be
I
painting
heard that
for
too, and I was like,
events.
well, he'll probably be here till then too.
I probably will be here until August 20th painting, I'm sure. There's other events that I'd like to go to this year, so yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
Awesome.
That's it.
That's our episode OCHO.
Thanks for listening to
All
the
right.
show.
Adios, everyone.
Thanks,
Adios.
everybody. We'll see ya.